Psychedelic research is being fast-tracked by a new executive order? Wait, why haven't I been hearing more about this? While most people were starting their weekend, Trump was in the Oval Office doing this. Check it out.
I want to tell everybody how this happened. I sent President Trump some information. We have a gigantic opiate problem in this country, obviously. In 2024, more than 80,000 people died of overdoses. It's a horrible number. And there's more than 5 million people that are addicted to opiates right now in this country. With one dose of Ibogaine, more than 80% of people are free of that addiction. With 2 doses, it's more than 90%. I sent him that information. The text message came back, sounds great. Do you want FDA approval? Let's do it. It was literally that quick. These drugs are illegal not because they're harmful. They're illegal because of the 1970 Controlled Substances Act that was passed by the Richard Nixon administration. They did it to target the civil rights movement and the anti-war movement. It's not because these drugs harm people.
Okay, so I wasn't expecting that one. For some reason, I thought that Rogan and Trump were sparring. And I don't know, they may still be. But Rogan mentions this 1970 Controlled Substances Act. And what that did is it classified psychedelics as a Schedule 1, and that says that there's no real medical use and a high abuse potential. And that made it difficult to study for decades. Of course it did. But with this new executive order Trump signed, that's going to be changing. So what does this executive order do exactly? Well, while it doesn't legalize psychedelics, it does fast-track the process for studying and potentially approving them. And it directs departments like the FDA to speed up clinical trials and focus on treatments that have been actually showing some promise. And it also expands something called the right to try, which I don't know if you've heard about this, but it allows patients, especially those with severe conditions, to access more experimental treatments. So bottom line, the government will be moving a lot quicker when it comes to researching psychedelic treatments. Trump announced the federal government would also be making a $50 million research investment into further studies and to accelerating approval. Meanwhile, Texas has also put $50 million in on funding. So there is money being put into this, which signals to me the federal government is putting action into the executive order. And personally, I like that. Some recent studies on a handful of these drugs have had some notable results. In 2020, Johns Hopkins conducted a study on depression using psilocybin, magic mushrooms for you King Kesey fans, and over 50% of these participants were in remission within 4 weeks. Also, there was a phase of a 2021 trial from the Multidisciplinary Association of Psychedelic Studies, and almost 2/3 of those patients no longer met the criteria for PTSD diagnosis after receiving MDMA treatment. But it is Ibogaine treatment that Joe Rogan mentioned, and that's what I want to discuss. This is what motivated him to text President Trump. And here's why. Studies have shown these drugs are working. And not just for opioid addiction, but for PTSD as well. And early studies, especially with veterans, are showing dramatic improvements. Now, I want you to check out what this doctor had to say about some Stanford studies on Ibogaine. Check it out.
Ibogaine therapy. I'm Dr. Fergal Armstrong. Traumatic brain injury from blast exposure creates a cascade of problems: PTSD, depression, anxiety, and cognitive difficulties. A new study from Stanford, published in Nature Medicine, examined 30 Special Forces veterans who underwent what's called the MYSTIC protocol, MISTIC, which stands for Magnesium Ibogaine Therapy for Traumatic Injury to the Central Nervous System. Now, Ibogaine is a plant-derived compound from the Tabernathi iboga shrub, traditionally used in African healing ceremonies. What makes it unique is its interaction with multiple neurotransmitter systems and its ability to increase production of brain-derived neurotropic factor. Essentially, it may help the brain heal itself. Here's what the Stanford team found. These veterans showed significant improvements in functioning immediately after treatment, and those improvements actually increased at the 1-month follow-up. For PTSD symptoms, they saw remission rates of 86%. For depression and anxiety, 83% remission. In addiction medicine, we celebrate 4 40% remission rates. Here's what this means for you. This study also revealed impressive cognitive improvements, better processing speed, improved executive function, including
So you heard that. The early results are pretty amazing. There have been some side effects. For years, it's been associated with serious heart concerns. But in this particular study, it was combined with magnesium, which helps protect the heart rhythm. And so no serious side effects were reported in the group just discussed. And what was really amazing here were that the participants only experienced temporary side effects. That's things like loss of coordination, headaches, nausea, and anxiety during treatment. But all of those disappeared within 24 hours, which is pretty awesome. For years now, I think Congressman Morgan Luttrell said for just over 10, some lawmakers in Congress, many of them veterans, have been working on moving some of these trials and legislation forward. So this executive order was super important to them. Jack Bergman, a retired Marine Corps general, he's out of the Michigan 1st Congressional District. Michael McCall out of the 10th Congressional District in Texas. He's also been working on this. Dan Crenshaw, he's a former Navy SEAL out of the 2nd Congressional District in Texas. And I just mentioned Morgan Luttrell. He is a former Navy SEAL, and he is out of the 8th Congressional District in Texas. So a lot of Texans there. And this is important because more than 6,000 veterans commit suicide each year. Those numbers are staggering, and I had no idea. I mean, that is 17 people a day, 17 veterans. I mean, that's just heartbreaking. These are the people out there who are fighting for our freedoms. Oh, it just breaks my heart. A big day out there for the veterans who are struggling and could use the treatment. So I want to show you a podcast episode with Joe Rogan from 4 years ago. He interviewed an Army veteran, Dakota Meyer, and they discussed Ibogaine treatment. And this just shows you how long Rogan's really been looking at these treatments and discussing them. I mean, he has been an advocate for quite a while. Check it out.
Did you get counseling for that? Did you, how did you...
I went to Mexico.
What was in Mexico?
I went down and I did Ibogaine.
Oh. Did we talk about that the first time you were on the podcast?
No, I think I did it afterwards.
Oh, really? Interesting.
But yeah, no, I went to...
How was that?
It gave me my life back. I mean, it gave me my life back. I went down and I just got to the end. And I talked about it in this book. I was going through my divorce. I did. You talk about not knowing what was next. I mean, literally, I was melting down from the inside. And finally, one of my friends looked at me and he's like, hey, I just went and did this. This is the date you're going. You need to go do this. And it was at that point, I grew up in Kentucky, and I grew up with weed is bad, right? I mean, all this, right? You know what I mean? And for me, it was just such a, to think that I was going to go do psychedelics.
Right.
It was just it was like a moral thing for me, right? I mean, it was a moral dilemma.
Yeah.
And,
So this veteran mentions how this was a moral dilemma for him, and I think that's true of a lot of people when you hear the term psychedelics, and the same is true for marijuana. For me personally, I can't wait till the stigma is gone and we can really embrace all the powerful medical benefits for some of these drugs, especially since they're both physical and mental. So I don't know if you caught this, but Dakota Meyer mentions having to go out of the country for this treatment. And I say that because it just brings into focus just how important what President Trump signed really was. I mean, many of these veterans have had to leave the country because they haven't responded to the antidepressant treatments that we have. So this executive order really opens the door for some of those other options. Treatment should not be kept from veterans if they can help, and they can help safely. And studies are showing that in so many cases they can. And the more concrete evidence we have to support that, the quicker we can get that FDA approval. I want to set up this next clip. One of the many reasons I like our president is because he is willing to take a phone call or a text from friend or foe alike. And what happens when he does that is action. And I don't know about you guys, but the president is my employee, so I want him to be getting things done. So I say all that to set up this next clip. It really gave me a chuckle. Check it out.
It's called Ibogaine treatment. Ibogaine. Remember the name. Is that pronounced relatively properly, would you say?
Yes.
I don't want to get it wrong. Ibogaine, because it's so important, and experienced an 80 to 90% reduction in symptoms of depression and anxiety within 1 month. Can I have some, please? I'll take some. I'll take whatever it takes.
That really made me laugh. If you like the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. This is a new channel. It will really help me grow. I appreciate all of you. Please pray, stay informed, and be well. This is the Bleeding Heart MAGA signing off.